Hi, welcome back to my channel today. I want to talk about prison's mail. There's something new going on starting June 15th uh, next month. And according to what I'm reading and have heard, especially, I'm starting with Missouri because that's where I am. Missouri prisons will be banning physical mail and replacing it with photocopies, which will be screened and scanned in Florida. And from what I can see and understand, this is going to be happening with most of the prisons systems, and it's already going on with a few, but some stopped. Um, Individuals in prison will be able to view the mail digitally in attempts to curb drug smuggling in correctional facilities. From the information that I have read, and you can Google it, I Googled it under more and more prisons are banning mail. So you look up prisons banning mail, and you'll find the information. One is this one that I've just read is by Ignatius Dolakia. And it talks about when it first started, when out of the 2018 in Pennsylvania, there was there was not this particular one. I've got the wrong one. It's the one before this one. Okay, hold on just a minute. By someone else. But this particular writer is talking about when someone else, when he, what is his name? Marcus Bullock was incarcerated 8 years from the age of 15. And he invented the Flip Shop, an app that makes it easier for people to stay connected to incarcerated family members and friends. Its users can send personalized postcards with a photo and a message to people in jails and prisons across the United States. But the one that I was talking about on, they're going to start in, that one is immediately after this one. Just a second here. Hope I can pull it up. Okay, this one is, the title is Prisons Are Increasingly Banning Physical Mail. For incarcerated people, handwritten letters can be a lifeline, but prisons and jails are restricting them. And this is by Mia Armstrong. The article is August the 9th, 2021. In 2018, when I reported for Future Tense on a Pennsylvania Department of Corrections program that restricts physical mail, I collected scans from incarcerated people of photos and cards sent by their loved ones. Under the program, loved ones send mail to a facility in Florida operated by the private company Smart Communications, which then scans and sends corresponding to the appropriate facility in Pennsylvania. Once there, the Pennsylvania facility prints the scan and delivers it to its incarcerated resident and recipient. printed scans I collected were low quality, including blurry, darkened family photos that left incarcerated people unable to make out their loved ones' faces. Even the more readable scans left much to be desired, because after all, physical mail is rarely just about reading. Incarcerated people couldn't run their fingers over their loved one's handwriting or grasp a piece of paper that had been held by someone familiar. These may seem like small things, but anyone with a personal connection to the prison system knows they're not. Personal testimonies and research alike demonstrate that regular correspondence with the outside world is crucial to the incarcerated person's mental health while inside prison, as well as their ability to successfully integrate upon release. What's going on now is there was a drug, and it's something about opiates and synthetic cannabis. I don't think, let me see, I'm trying to make sure that I'm calling that word right. It's the, okay, I know it's about an opiate drug, and it's another synthetic drug. Okay, it says here some toxicologists thought that the mass sickening of staff in Pennsylvania that brought on the mail restrictions in 2018, supposedly due to synthetic cannabinoid exposure, was better explained as mass psychogenic illness, as one medical toxicology expert told the Philadelphia Inquirer. Okay, rather than reactive and punitive policy making, often governed by the interests of private companies, we need evidence-based responses that look carefully at what contraband is entering prisons and how it's doing so. We must avoid punishing entire incarcerated populations for the bad behavior of a few individuals. Okay? The thing of it is, like, some people just are not aware that prison is a system that affects our whole community. It affects the community in many, many, many ways. Children, a lot of times, are without their parents, whether they be a male or female. And you know that we have yet to learn to love our neighbor as ourselves. No one, hardly any family, will go and purchase all the things for a child who is just homeless, or a child who is running around, or a child who has been set into a system. For someone to love and care for that child like a parent would, that it doesn't happen easily. So what I'm saying is that when parents are incarcerated, that sometimes leaves these children at the mercy of the streets. It depends on how old they are and whether what institution they are sent to when they're left alone, or whether some relatives will you know, take over that responsibility. And even if they do, a lot of times they have their own their own family, their own children, or working. And so these children will not receive the full attention that they would probably if their parents were out. But here's the thing: many people may say, well, why don't they stay out of trouble in the first place? Well, our system has been set up to cause failure on some levels. Now, yes, we have a great country. Yes, we have plenty of opportunities at certain levels. But until you go into the true history of what happened to, and I'm not saying that it happened to just one group of people, it probably did happen to many different people, but it affects Black Americans more so because, just even the idea of the history of when they could not read, were not allowed to read. So a lot of children, people from, even I was one of those. I did read, but sometimes I don't read as much as I should read because that stigma, that the not being brought up in an environment where reading was actually allowed, it kind of passed down to different generations, to different, like my mother, she was a she went through school, but she didn't do lots of reading. Mom was so busy trying to put food on the table. But there are a lot of situations created by lack of knowledge, because we perish because we don't have knowledge, because we may know something, but we may not know what we need to know in order to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient, as well as we would like to be. Okay, so in the history of how that this system was set up, there's also the situation where pipelining through the school districts, and like when you send children to schools who don't have the proper resources and lack of the tools for them to learn, and you do hands-on types of things like they used to have in the 70s, where they would send them to technical schools, and the system was set up where they could learn trades, and a lot of people were able to live by those trades. But I know it seems like I'm getting off the point, but I'm just showing you where this started from. Then we have the situation. This is a lot of stuff to be able to get to how we got to where we are now. There was drugs introduced into communities during I believe they were, I'm gonna guess, I didn't do all of the research on it, but I've read many times where back when I think it was the Blackstone Rangers, Black Panthers, different ones were trying to help in their Black communities. And when they did, providing food, lunches, and helping children and protecting their community, there were some who had been victims of drugs that were brought into those communities. And so more drugs were brought into the communities. And this was perpetration. This was done by people who know what they were doing, and to create destruction, to create downfall for a group of people. Okay, and mainly I believe they were Black. And that's not about Black and white, or Hispanics or Indians or any of this. I'm just telling you what happened that caused some of this trouble that we're facing with prisoners, because people are thinking, well, they shouldn't go to prisons. But when you've been set into a situation that prevents you from advancing, you do what you know to do. You can only do what you know to do. So if you go for a job, you don't have any of the qualities, you're going to try to figure out, now, how can I take care of my family? How can I provide for them? You know, better yet, if you don't even have the knowledge from the start, that's a situation. So I know this is kind of off from the actual problem that I'm bringing to you about these prisoners' males. I do my best to shy away from controversial issues because I know how people are. Many people don't feel like that anybody should say anything about what blacks go through, or this. They just got a sweet little line and a sweet little way that they want to present everything, like nothing is wrong. And I do trust that the Creator will make everything all right. But us being stewards on the earth, we do have to speak up sometime. We do have to stand for what we believe in. And so this has caused the in slavery after the 1865, blacks who were slaves were put off their plantations without a place to go, a place to start, to establish industries, to have businesses. Now, this is aside from the one that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where some people don't even know about that, where they were black communities who had all kinds of things. They had uh, shops, they had banks, they had schools, they had communities of prosperity where growth was taking place. Now, after that, the bombing, not like the Pearl Harbor bombing. I mean, like the Hiroshima bombing in Japan, but the bombing and destroying those properties because of you go back and look at Greenville. I believe it's Greenwood or Greenville Street, where in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they had what they call it Black Wall Street. So if I got that wrong, you'll know to go to Black Wall Street because I'm trying to pull all of this here from declining. I won't say declining memory, but memory is I have to work with it. I won't claim anything that is not serve me, that does not serve me well. So I won't say declining memory. I'll say memory that is challenging. Okay. So because of various reasons. Okay, now I digress, but I want to get back to this male problem that there are a lot of problems that prisoners are having in the first place that a lot of people just shut their eyes to. They close their eyes to. So now that also brings us back to doing a better job with our community. We've got to start having children to decide on what they want to do so they can spend more time working on those things that they love doing that may lead to a good profession or a good career for them. And sitting down every day doing nothing does not lead to that. So do everything in your power that you can do to help your children to lean toward something they can learn, because there's so much to learn out here now, and we are almost in this technological war with just trying to survive, trying to have our own raise our own food, um, build our own houses, and so if everybody is sitting around waiting on someone else to do the building, to collect the lumber, uh, then nothing will get done. It'll always be helpless little people looking to the system to do something that it has had a difficult time doing. If you do nothing else, Put the sincere prayers down, not begging, but asking with confidence, knowing that the Creator loves us and He cares. And I know it's hard for some people to see, because I had someone to tell me one time that if they believed in the Lord and they knew who He was, they would bring Him home and kick Him. And that's horrible. It's blasphemous, blasphemous. But some people feel that way, that there is no one, nothing, no entity, or no superpower or higher power that cares. But there is. There is a superpower that cares. There is a um, higher supreme uh, deity, uh, creation. I mean, well, energy, because was neither created or nor can be destroyed. That will help. That cares. The God cares. Regardless of how you refer to Him as Jesus, and that makes it more vivid for us when we can think of a loving person who stood and carried a cross and died for you, and even though you may not be able to figure out what this got to do actually with you, you know what I'm saying? So, um, I'm I'm saying all of this, and it seems a bit like Bramlish, but it's so much that I've got to organize it one day and bring it bit by bit. But a lot of times I'm shut down. It takes hours for my videos to run. By the time they run, everybody's going to sleep. And I haven't got figured out how to get live videos, because I don't have a lot of help here, but I'm going to do this. It's going to be done. Whether I figure out how to get together with some good help that cares, whether I have to sit here and fumble through every computer bit of information to do it. It will be done. What needs to be done. Okay. So today, prisoners are sitting in their lonely jail cells all over the world, trying to entertain themselves. You know how hard it is for people to entertain themselves on the outside, let alone where folks are telling you when to get up, where to go, what to do. And God did tell us, well, for those who believe in God, for those who believe in the Bible, who believe in good and believe in helping and caring, He said, remember the prisoners. You look it up for yourself. It's in the Bible that, and then He also said that, the orphans, strangers, and widows, those we should have compassion for. And unfortunately, I'm one of the widows, because back in the day, when I was younger, we never thought we'd get to be the older people or the widows or any of that. We never thought that. We never thought it. Thought that day would come. But anyways, if you care anything about prisoners or your loved ones who are incarcerated, this is an issue for us to maybe start writing some of the representatives, if that will do any good. And I will say to you, start teaching them. If you're getting in trouble, do something constructive. If you end up in a prison system, learn how to care about those that you will be incarcerated with, to do what is right instead of choosing something that's wrong. Because a lot of people go to prison and it becomes a more of a dog-eat-dog society than even out here. And we know that taking things and harming others and killing people, we know that's against the Bible. That we know that right off the bat. That, if it's not yours, you shouldn't be bothering it. You know that you should not be killing somebody for material things. You know that, but when it comes to eating and being hungry, even in the Bible days, they would say, leave some for gleaning. Like if you had cotton, leave a few little scraps out there for the ones who didn't have anything. If you had grapes, allow those that did not have food to come and pick a little grape off. You're not expecting them to come get buckets full and sell it, and all of that, but for something to eat, just a little bit. Leave one or two little grapes, on the vine for them to eat, and whatever it is, whether it's watermelons. I have a new friend that does watermelons. They have plenty of them. They have, leave one or two scattered about out there, for the hungry animals, the hungry people, or whatever. Leave one or two. I know it's not that easy, because man, every one of them counts, right? But and so I'm saying, that these are things, that's one of the things that can be done to help remedy the situations that we're dealing with. Like, if if you know someone in there, I know it's a little late in the game to start trying to teach people how to be caring individuals, to not be selfish and be narcissistic type, which is the video I just did on people that just care for themselves and the heck with everybody else in the whole wide world. That won't work. It only makes life a lot more difficult for us when we don't only care for ourselves. You just can't get things done like that. Um, the other thing is, have your children, or those that even if they're not yours, because it takes a village to raise children. All of us got to put our part in, do what we can to be really helpful in helping this society, not just so we can be seen, not just so we can get a great name, not just so we can have a pocket full of money. We've got to put the energy in caring for one another. Now, even if it's just one, I have one or two that I mentor. I don't charge them for that. I do that. They can call me pretty much when they need to. They have access to me when they need me. And if they don't do it, that's on them. Because I will do what I can do within reasons to help them get to where they need to be in life. So even if if it's just one person, one relative, one friend, one neighbor, each one teach one. And let's be about the business of building great communities. And prisoners will be out sooner or later. That is, if the system doesn't keep on nailing and coming up with ways to keep them in there, and I'm not trying to be judgmental, because I noticed that, good reporters and good orators, they don't put their emotions, they express concerns, because our emotions do not serve us when they are overwhelmed. They do not serve us when we are extremely angry. They do not serve us when we are one-sided. We're not served by those emotions. And if we're not served by something, that means that it's not benefiting us well. And we want all the great benefits we can get, wherever we can get them, if they are good benefits. Okay? And that's about all I can tell you about that, except that there's going to be lots of situations where if someone of you that you love accidentally land in a prison system and not even guilty of something, you will be faced with these problems. And I pray that no one ever goes to pen again, that pens be done away with, that folks can be on the outside and live a good free life. There's nothing wrong with having a good wish or a good request, okay? So, with that said, have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your concern. This is Berdine. Till next time. Bye-bye.